The speculations over who becomes the running mate of the PDP's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, is now over with the announcement of the Delta State Governor, Okowa. Atiku explained that his choice of Okowa over fellow governors Nyesom Wike and Udom Emmanuel is the best choice for the party. Rice correspondent Mary Chinda reports.
For days, the media was awash with news that the committee set up by the PDP to shortlist a running mate for Atiku Abubakar had indicated River State Governor Nyesom Wike as the favored one. Atiku won the party's ticket after he defeated Wike at the May 28th PDP presidential primary. However, nothing prepared Nigerians for the announcement of Atiku's running mate, a choice that he alone was left to make.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the ticket the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Arthur Okowa.
The PDP presidential flag bearer speaks on the criteria considered in choosing Okowa.
In arriving at the decision, I held wild consultations with various stakeholders in our party, including our governors, National Working Committee, Board of Trustees, and other leaders to seek their inputs and their wisdom. In these consultations, I made clear that my running mate would have the potential to succeed me at a moment's notice. That is, a president in waiting. Accordingly, let me state that the person I have chosen as my running mate possesses those identified qualities. He personifies not only the seriousness the current moment represents for our country, but also the future that our young people yearn for and also deserve.
And the newly announced running mate says all hands must be on deck to salvage Nigeria from the ruins caused by the governing APC.
I accept wholeheartedly, and in accepting so, I want to pledge that I'm going to stay loyal and committed to the course of this battle, and it's a battle that God has gone ahead of us.
With the February 2023 elections months away, the PDP says it is certain to win the elections with the Atiku Okowa ticket.
We are selected on their own merit, on their contribution to the party, on their suitability based on certain criteria which was clearly set out. So even I, as the chairman sitting here, I had no input whatsoever.
Okowa is the best man for the job. If I were Atiku, I'd make the same choice. I've known Okowa for a long time. He's a quintessential politician.
And Okowa commented on his emergence over Wike.
I know that Governor Wike is a very strong party man. He has a great love for our party. And I believe that Governor Wike is also a good Democrat. And he understands that when several brothers are in the race for a particular position, only one person could be at a point in time. But I want to reassure you that Governor Wike is a very good man, and his interest for this country, his interest for this particular party to be able to rise up to the challenge at the moment is strong. And I do not feel that he's going to be disappointed.
Today's announcement of the PDP presidential running mate comes a day ahead of the 6 p.m. Friday deadline given by INEC. Mary Chinda, Rice News.
All right, a lot to talk about this morning, Sundul.
Yes, and Governor Okowa has been confirmed, and we can now see why this day did not run with that story that made the rounds, that it was Governor Wike who would prevail. With regards to Governor Wike, it's been discussed about what will happen next. People, him and those who support him, might be upset by this turn of events, but we can get a few hints from presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's speech. He referred to drama, and that is who sprung to my mind. The thing about Governor Wike is that he also recalls that book, Senator John McCain, late Senator John McCain's book, Character is Destiny. And I think that's what happened in this case. When you're perceived as mercurial, you might not be the best material for vice president. Also from the presidential candidate speech, we see why Governor Okowa prevailed. He said he was looking for a president in waiting, somebody presidential, who has, I guess, that gravitas, the intellect, the experience which Governor Okowa does have. And we've had a variety of vice presidents in this country, from inconsequential to influential to varying degrees, but there is the fact that that office is recognized by the Constitution and is not merely an appendage to the president, even though depending on the ego and power plays that come to play, we can see that happen. If they do win the election, we'll be interested to see what kind of a team that they might make. Although what is really important here right now is winning that election. What is the electoral value of Governor Okowa? Because it's perceived that Governor Wike had a greater electoral value. You can't get perfection in one package. What you perceive as a strength here might be a weakness elsewhere. But I don't think the facts actually bear that out, because I did check last elections in 2019, Delta's votes were higher than River State's votes. Delta had I'll just round it up, over 800,000 votes. Obviously, the vast majority went to Atiku. So Delta State did deliver for PDP. River State only had around 600,000 votes. That might be to do with the kind of violence that was, witnessed in River State. So they did not actually deliver as many votes to PDP as Delta State did. So there's a perception and there's actual reality here that comes to play. So maybe all of that also tied in with why Governor Okowa ended up prevailing. And it's also been reported that he's always had a close association with Alhaji Atiku. And it's Alhaji Atiku, from the speech that he gave, yes, he consulted the party, but it was ultimately his choice. And now that choice has been made. And what Governor Okowa brings to the table is that political news, hopefully his ability to mobilize for PDP and, score a victory for his party. I'm sure they're hoping that.
Dr. Batu?
Okay. I think in 2019, when Atiku Abubakar, as the presidential standard bearer of the PDP at the time, chose Peter Obi, he was criticized as having not carried out enough consultations. And I can see some of the people who opposed the choice of Peter Obi from the Southeast at that time are among the ones now saying, the presidential candidate again of the PDP ahead of the 2023 election has made a good choice. In other words, he consulted widely. Even if at the end of the day, the decision is because he's the one going to work with, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa. But at least he has been able to create within the party that sense of belonging. Now, the second point is that Wike will remain a major factor in the politics of the PDP, regardless of the number of votes that came out of Rivers State in the 2019 general election. Rivers, has substantial votes, so that if the people are well mobilized, it's not something that we can just discount. And in terms of his influence, he also still needs to be carried along. Now, the candidate says he has chosen Ifeanyi Okowa because it fits the seriousness of the moment. And also, he represents also the future. Ifeanyi Okowa was born July 1959. He will be 63, that is, next month. So he represents, the good age bracket that has been recommended. And we imagine that he will be able to complement the presidential candidate very well. But what are the indications of this? One, in terms of personality, Ifeanyi Okowa has a very calm mien and is politically savvy, and he has been very calm even in all the political battles that he has won. As compared to Wike, whom we said, well, he was initially recommended by some people, but Wike plays a different kind of politics. He's very combative, he's very abrasive. And maybe that motivated the presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, to say, well, perhaps it's better to choose somebody that is a bit, sober. Now, in terms of experience, Ifeanyi Okowa is also just as experienced. One, he's a graduate of the University of Ibadan. He studied medicine. He practiced for a while before he went into politics, the grassroots democratic movement. He was one of the figures in the GDM at that time, before he eventually joined the People's Democratic Party. In fact, he's one of the founding members of the People's Democratic Party in 1998, When James Ibori became governor of Delta State, and Ibori is considered his godfather, you know, when he became governor in 1999, he made him first commissioner for agriculture. Later, he made him commissioner for water resources. Now, when Ibori left office, when he was going to leave office, Okowa showed interest in becoming the governor of the state. But it turned out that Ibori handed over to Emmanuel Udwaga. In 2007, Emmanuel Udwaga appointed him secretary to the state government. He has also previously served as commissioner for health. So he has had 3 different portfolios as commissioner. He's been secretary to the state government of Delta. In 2011, he went to the Senate, right? And he was in the Senate for 4 years, beating Senator Patrick Osakwe, who was a major force at that time. And then he came back to Delta State and tried to become governor. In terms of executive position, apart from being a senator of the Federal Republic, he's also been chairman of a local government, Ika Northeast local government. So from the grassroots level to being governor 2 terms, you know, he's had that legislative experience, administrative experience, which he brings to the table. Now, what else about him? I think he's showing up on the ticket is going to change the calculus in Delta State, where James Ibori from Ogara in Delta Central is considered the godfather. If the PDP wins, Ifeanyi Okowa is going to become the big figure in Delta State. How does he manage that? Which is, you know, XY godfather if he becomes that. And then, of course, you recall that his emergence is also a major step forward for the Ika people, the Anioma people of Delta State. He was the first person from that zone in Delta State to become governor of Delta State. Now he stands a chance of also becoming the first person from that state, you know, from that zone to become vice president of Nigeria. He has been described as a bridge between the South-South and the Southeast. One, he has never denied his Igbo links, unlike Wike, who in Obigbo the other day was saying that he's not an Igbo man. Okay, he is not ashamed of that. So he can help galvanize the Southeast that will seem to have been sidelined. But, you know, they also have in Ifeanyi Okowa, a man who is linguistically and maybe perhaps historically, you know, of Igbo origin. So he has that advantage. But the major challenge he will have in the South is that he has to work on the Atiku ticket for the South-South, the Southeast, the Southwest, where you have another formidable politician in the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who also has to do a lot of work to struggle for the votes for his own party, in the South-South, in the Southeast, and the Southwest. Finally, I think the major challenge that he will face, how much latitude would Atiku Abubakar give him as his vice president? He has said he's good enough to be president too. He's a president in waiting. But you recall that, you know, Atiku Abubakar Alhaji has also proven to be a very strong personality. But with his calm mien, with his ability to manage, you know, not stepping on people's toes, and with the manner in which he emerged as a governor of Delta State, he may well be able to walk the tightrope in working with a president, if they win, you know, who is also a very strong personality.
I mean, real quickly, one thing we cannot discountenance is the fact that Ifeanyi Okowa is a political strategist. He's got his own strategy. Will that augur well for the ticket with Atiku Abubakar? I doubt. And I'll tell you why. This was a man that took Ibori head on and took Ibori out. His political godfather that brought him in. And how did he do it? He strategically did it. He turned the Okpe and the Yoruba people against themselves, went ahead to still go to pick Sheriff as against Edewe that the Ibori camp wanted, and pit them against each other. Sheriff, his own candidate, emerged now. The Yoruba nation is torn apart. And he's had his own way because he wants to control things. So he is a political master craftsman. And that played out in the days. You see, apart from Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's choice, Ifeanyi Okowa emerged because he played a better brand of politics than Wike. The only difference is he doesn't talk too much about it. He doesn't shout about it. But he's very quiet and he calculates in the background. that will pan out in the general grand scheme of things. Yes, he's a bridge builder and everything, but can he really deliver the votes? Do we think that the Igbo people will vote an Okowa over an Obi? So that Southeast vote we are saying he might bring in, can he really truly bring it in? Even in Delta State, it's split down now the middle. Will people like Ibori vote for Anifai Okowa in a presidential election or vote for the PDP in a presidential election? We're already hearing talks about a possible alliance between the Ibori camp and the Oviomo Agege camp because they feel very disgruntled. So there's a lot of fight going on in Delta State. The state, his emergence, yes, the people from his area are very happy about it. But the people from the other side, the Yoruba-speaking part, are not happy about it. They are saying he's going to do them a double. That's the factor on ground in Delta State. So even the votes we think he might pull out from Delta, yes, he might pull it out because he has the power of incumbency, but it might also be a fight to finish. This is just to have an holistic analysis.
But all the candidates are from, they are all Urobo in the 2023 election for the gubernatorial. They are all from Delta Central.
But that's what I just explained. That's the strategy. No, there was a general consensus that it was Edewe that was supposed to emerge.
No, that's the Boris consensus.
No, Edewe was the Urobo Progress Union consensus.
Okay.
All right? Then what did Okowa do? Okowa now did another consensus where he brought Okpe people to the fray and they brought out Sheriff. After bringing out Sheriff to nullify Edewe. So there's a lot of internal politicking going on in Delta State now. So as a result of that, but I can't say more on this, but maybe in continuous analysis, we'll still have to say more. We bring you a very sad story this morning. The palace of the Obi of Owa Kingdom in Delta State, South Nigeria, has announced the death of Princess Margaret Obaigbana Sifo after a brief illness. Princess Obaigbana, who was survived by 5 children, including the chairman and editor-in-chief of This Day and Arise Media Group, Prince Nduka Obaigbana, died just before midnight at a London hospital. As a young woman, she studied nursing and rose to become the chief nursing officer of the defunct Bendel State government and later Delta State government. She also served as a special advisor to 3 Delta State governors. A funeral arrangement will be announced by the family. May her soul rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
This is a shocking one. We got the news with a lot of sadness at the This Day and Arise family, and as we speak, we're in mourning. But also, we will not mourn too much. We'll celebrate her life because of what she stood for. You know, because of who she was. She was a mother, indeed, to the house. Dr. Bati, I know you're the master of eulogies. You've penned down very appropriate, befitting notes, to be able to capture our grief and sadness this morning, but also with an outlook on our celebration of a life well spent.
Well, let me start by saying we commiserate with the palace of the Obi of Owa Kingdom, who has made the announcement. The family will, of course, later follow up with details about the plans for the celebration of her life. And, we can only thank God for her life. She lived long. She lived a full life. A life of fulfillment. She was born in 1939, right? 1934. So if you look at that, that's 88 years. What we all pray for is longevity. And she has enjoyed in the course of her life the benefit of longevity. Even if, there's never a time that a parent will die and any child would be, we say, oh, she has lived long enough. Our parents never lived long enough because what we hold on to is the memory. The memories of how they've touched our lives and how they have touched society. And, she had 6 children. The chairman of This Day Group and Arise Group was child number 6, right? It's a child number 6. And if you look at the children, they are all accomplished, each in their own ways. The first son, Mr. Ben Obaigbana, retired as a group general manager of the NNPC. The second child was the head of federal highways in the United States, in Florida, before he retired. You have the chairman of the Arise Group and This Day, who is an accomplished entrepreneur, publisher, journalist, You had Prince Rotimi Obagbena, who died, who was also, who lived long in the United States and was also accomplished in his own right. 4, if you like, 4 men and 2, women are survivors, including a retinue, a long list of children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Our life truly deserves to be celebrated. But as I said, we condole the family, not just the palace, also the children, because people grieve in different ways. There are persons whose mother or father would die at 100, and they'll be grief-stricken.
Of course.
Because, as I said, the strongest thing we hold on to is memory. And on the many occasions that I visited the chairman's house, and she was there, you could see how close he was particularly to his mom. Children don't grow too big for their parents. So, Chairman, take heart, be strong. The Lord is with you and the family.
Amen.
Amen.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Our dependable Rotus Adiri is here to give us an Africa business update. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Tundu. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning to all our viewers. We begin with conditional cash transfers. Federal government is apparently testing, finally rolling this out in Lagos State, according to Yetunde Arobeke, who is the Lagos State Commissioner for Wealth Creation and Employment. There's a partnership between the World Bank and the federal government of Nigeria called NAPS, which is the National Social Safety Nets program and project. And basically, they're going to be handing out, well, what they're saying is handing out ATM cards to a number of these recipients of conditional cash transfers. They're going to also open up digital accounts, is what they're saying, licensed by PSPs, payment service providers, commercial banks, microfinance banks, and so on and so forth. And so this is something that we've called for with respect to, transparency, record keeping, and so on and so forth. So, starting out from Lagos, hopefully it unfolds across the rest of the country. Still on digital, we moved from digital conditional cash transfers to credits. VoxDev is a research platform. Economists use it, policy practitioners use it, and so on and so forth to test out different models across the world. They looked at the impact of digital credits in low-income countries. They looked at, in fact, there was the CIGA is the Center for Effective Global Action at the University of California, Berkeley, assisted by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They started a study in 2016 looking at the impact of digital credit. So VoxDev also went further in Malawi, in Kenya, in Nigeria, testing out credit loans, short-term loans with high interest rates that are given to low-income individuals. There's a quote from them on this outcome of this study, if we can put that up, where it says that the impacts on the credit impacts on families is negligible. One of the reasons why they said that is because of the fact that one, there is little knowledge about the loans, that the credit loans that they're receiving, little knowledge about the payback period, and it leads to debt stress, predatory loans, so on and so forth. So they're essentially saying, okay, so fortunately we don't have this quote, but pretty much that's essentially what they said, is that the impact is negligible, and they had pretty much a lukewarm attitude towards it. We move to WhatsApp. WhatsApp has started this campaign called WhatsAppreneurs, where they are looking to assist African business owners through WhatsApp Business. WhatsApp Business has been opened up. If you check out the layout, if you're a business on WhatsApp, you can sell your products on there. Folks can look at a dashboard that features what it is that you offer. And interestingly enough, I ordered a pizza this week using WhatsApp by actually reaching out to the company, telling them where to deliver it to. So they asked me to use the bank transfer to pay for it and then send the receipts to them. And when you do a bank transfer, thanks to APIs, they interact with other platforms. So once you transfer money to someone on your bank app, you can share it. You can share it on Twitter if you want, Facebook, WhatsApp, and wherever you want. That's the beauty of APIs and the interaction. So you click on your WhatsApp icon and you can send it to whoever you want. So I sent it to them as proof of payments, and then they carried out the delivery of the food. But going further, I'm not sure if you remember when WhatsApp Pay was delayed in India and Brazil. WhatsApp Pay, the concept of WhatsApp Pay was to allow you to have a wallet where you could make a payment within WhatsApp itself. We're not there yet, but theoretically, if I wanted to make this completely seamless and not have to leave the platform to go and make a bank transfer and then come back, I could have, if WhatsApp Pay was allowed to work, make a payment from within the WhatsApp platform and transfer money from my WhatsApp wallet to the pizza company's wallet and just complete the entire transaction there. Brazil, India, they are worried about what it means for banks because, I mean, think about, just take it to its logical conclusion. Think about cross-border payments, talking to your cousin in the UK or Thailand, and then being able to transfer money wallet to wallet from your WhatsApp wallet. So it's still, this is, I mean, again, this is just going as far as it can go. I'm worrying about what regulators think and where it can go, but instant messaging, these platforms, like Facebook, of course, is the parents of this, so they're behind all this. It's big, it's very big. So again, that's WhatsAppreneurs. And then finally, Kenya. Kenya is saying they're going to stop fuel subsidies because it's too expensive. So, they say, now the thing is, the election is starting, is in August, so maybe they will halt it after the election. But here's a quote from their energy secretary, where she said that's Dr. Monica Juma, Kenya's energy. She said, it is difficult to sustain the subsidy, to the extent that we would have liked. So far, we have spent 67 billion shillings and this year, and it says it could possibly rise to 84 billion shillings by the end of the current fiscal year. So yeah, that's what we're saying.
The shocking thing is they're getting the memo late. I knew with the subsidy thing, Uhuru was quite political.
Yeah.
Uhuru Kenyatta, because he wanted Justice Alliance, the group that he's supporting with Raila Odinga, to be able to make inroads in the elections and do well. So with all of this, I knew they were going to stop it. But the WhatsApp thing, they're even behind. WeChat does it. I mean, so
in China, right?
Even in Nigeria, I've got a business partner of mine that when we want to import stuff, he's got the Chinese WeChat app. He chats with them. He pays from the WeChat wallet here, and the people get the money in China without any encumbrance of any sort. And it's happening every part. So WeChat has cracked it, and that's why you see people practically live their lives on WeChat in China.
Yeah, but then WeChat, China doesn't allow other apps to operate in their climes. They've restricted Facebook, they've restricted all these other people. So,
because it's their WeChat. But people
the WeChat copied WhatsApp, though.
People that are keen on it,
yeah,
and they're using it, they've gone one step further, to liberalize everything.
Yeah.
And it's helped them a great deal.
All by the banks. Are you not fear? What do you think this potentially means for banks and?
Why are you asking this disruptor? He likes it.
He loves it.
The truth is, banks will become obsolete. It's just a matter of
time. He can't wait.
But look at the iteration banks have gone through already.
Yeah.
Aren't you shocked?
But the holding company,
most of the new banks that are getting, registration and licensing now.
Yeah.
In what forms are they coming? Mostly online banking.
Right.
You get? So the idea of a bank, which actually comes from the word banque, which means benches, because the origin goes back to back in the days, what is it called?
What, trade by barter or what?
No. I forget this now. It's around Venice.
Okay.
Goes back to the Jewish money changers in Venice that used to sit on benches that were called bunkers.
So you'd go to them for liquidity.
Yeah, so you go to them for liquidity because it was not, because as a religious person you couldn't trade the money changing then.
Usually.
So the Jewish were allowed to do all of the work. So they would sit on benches, and that was the origin of banking.
But I also say this: the holdco structure of banks. If you look at what GTCO, Stanbic, all this other, that has allowed them to have payment platforms which are divisions under the holding umbrella.
Very soon,
yeah,
the revenue from those payment structures
will supersede
the traditional banking model. Yeah. And when they see it, they'll be shocked.
Well, as
regards the digital loans, it's just sad. People are committing suicide from that.
It's very true. Yeah.
Well, that's why Shakespeare had the Merchant of Venice.
Merchant of Venice,
and they went to him. They went to him for a loan, 1,000 ducats. You remember that?
Yes, merchants of vanities. Well, we're in the age of creative disruption, the age of innovation. There can be no limit to the scope of innovation. Businesses, systems have to continue to innovate, and you'll find a lot of that within the digital space. So it's good that you have WhatsAppreneur, which is meant to promote small and medium-scale businesses, to allow them a bigger scale for communication, to allow them to use technology to scale up. And there is a lot that is already happening in that state. I mean, if you go to Instagram, if you go to even Facebook, if you go to WhatsApp, it's like a marketplace.
Yes.
You can even order piping hot amala and
yes,
from those devices. That's how far they've gone, and I think it encourages greater innovation and creativity. So we're bound to get a lot more in that direction. And that's much better than the abuse of WhatsApp, the general platform, for misinformation, for disinformation, for fake news. But this is not a general app. This is restricted. And they've been experimenting with it since May last year when they provided space cloud platform for businesses. As for Kenya, Kenya has what they call a fuel development levy, which has been depleted. This year alone, they've spent over 67 billion shillings on fuel subsidy. By the end of the year, the projection is that it will be up to about 84 billion Kenyan shillings. Now, that subsidy that the government is providing is the same standard argument that it is not sustainable.
Right.
With the spot price of fuel going to above $100 now.
120.
Is it 120? Well,
of crude oil.
$120.
120, yeah.
So the Kenyan authorities are saying, we cannot sustain this. Isn't it the same argument in Nigeria? Where we've been told that this year alone, we have spent close to 4 trillion naira on subsidy. And that by the end of the year, according to the World Bank, we will end up spending up to about 7 trillion. But the issue, therefore, is where is the social cost of all of this? Because if you look at it in terms of social cost, the future is scary.
It is.
In Britain, within the last 24 hours, they are saying hell is here. With the Bank of England projecting that inflation will hit about 11%. 11%. In Sri Lanka, since yesterday, in fact, Sri Lanka had to declare today a public holiday because fuel queues have taken over the whole place. There is no fuel anywhere in the whole of Sri Lanka. A whole country is grounded. So you have to think in terms of the social cost. As for the digital credit, how about the risks? How about repayment of the loan? If you say you don't need collateral, you don't need to be within the banking system, an algorithm will determine your access to credit. So how are they going to work out the risks involved? Because when you mentioned that they try to experiment with it in Nigeria, I said, Nigerians, will they pay back? But every business, every innovation comes with its own risks.
Certainly does.
Those are the things to be addressed.
We've run out of time, and I'm glad, because I was going to be quite cynical about the digital credits.
Really?
So I'm glad I'm not going to be. I hate cynicism, so I don't want to indulge. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Roses.
so much. Thank you so much.
Moving on now to more business updates. Michael Wilson joins us from London. Good morning, Mr. Wilson.
Good morning. A global sell-off, really, and it's continuing. It probably will get worse today. When Wall Street actually opens, because a lot of futures contracts are expiring before their 3-day weekend because they've got a national holiday on Monday. So I think you can expect a lot of falls today. But so far, Asia Pacific, yes, falling very, very slightly. The Bank of Japan now not going along the way of its peers, actually, in sharp contrast to its global peers. They're maintaining its ultra easy monetary policy. No change there whatsoever. The Nikkei, though, in Japan fell about 2%. This morning, shares of SoftBank down, South Korea down 2, Hang Seng down, recovered marginally, up about 0.75%. Mainland China stocks also turning round as well. We touched on the Chinese property sector yesterday, the disappointing non-purchase of new homes. It's pushed one debt indicator. This is by Moody's. They have issued 91 downgrades of various property companies in China. That's a record, and it's only issued 56 in the past 10 years. So a massive worry for them. However, it's not all bad in China. Apparently, ahead of the 618, that'll be the 18th of June. 6 as in June, 18 as in the 18th. The big shopping festival coming up in China tomorrow. And JD.com, one of the companies which will be testing to see how much consumers are actually coming back, is saying that things are getting slightly easier. He's optimistic about the future of tech and companies like JD.com, the e-commerce giants. Alibaba not really joining in on that, but certainly JD.com. And this is really a test of what the consumer appetite actually is right now, let alone what the e-commerce giants are actually going to do. Let us therefore now turn our attention to the United States. It's had its worst week since March 2020. The word brutal has been applied to what's been going on in the markets there. The futures very, very slightly up this morning, but generally several key pieces of economic data fell short of what was expected on them during the week, from May retail sales to housing starts, and of course that increase in the interest rate there. The Dow fell below 30,000 for the first time since January 2021. Now, how do your bosses actually address you as a member of staff? Here's what Elon Musk was saying to the Twitter staff. The reaction to this, mostly negative. He says that exceptional staff have nothing to worry about. What it takes to be an exceptional member of staff, many people within Twitter are scratching their heads today. He's looking for 1 billion actual active users, and users should be allowed to say what they want on Twitter. When it comes to potentially harmful speech, Musk told the employees that people should be allowed to say what they want, but they should not be promoting that kind of speech. He also addressed the question which is worrying most of them about the layoffs, which we've been talking about on this program. The company, he said, does need to get healthy. Musk said that there had to be some rationalization of headcount, or else Twitter won't be able to grow. What does all that mean? I do not know. But that's what he was saying to the troops, who went away not very happy when they'd heard that from who may be the person who may be the new company's owner. Right, to the UK then, and as you know, the Bank of England raised its interest rate yesterday to the highest level for 13 years, to 1.25%. Year-end inflation could be 11%. And you know, if you think that you're worried about inflation, and we think that we're worried in this country, even the Swiss National Bank raised its interest rate. I mean, if they're starting to worry about inflation, then there are real pressures. They hiked their rates there by 0.5%. UK Gatwick, more misery for people travelling to try to get away. The airlines, the airport rather, is cancelling hundreds of flights, blaming staff shortages. Normally it's 900 a day in the height of the summer season. Now it's down to 825 a day. And the boss at Heathrow is saying that these staffing shortages could take 18 months to actually fix. As far as the cost of living crisis in the UK is concerned, food spending and mental health issues as well under threat, leaving with the soaring cost of what's actually going on then. Pump prices, get this, are hitting a record high every day. They've done that for the past month, according to the RAC, one of the motoring organisations. It now costs about £103 to fill a family car with petrol, 106 for diesel. Oil, crude oil, really just moving sideways. Again, we'll get more, presumably more mention of OPEC plus and the rest of it next week, and global refining capacity. But at the moment, the price of crude is just moving sideways. That is not helping consumers at all. Been quite a momentous week for interest rates. That's the global view.
All right, Michael, what happens to property buyers in the UK that are facing real interest rate problems now? Because it bopped up so bad, you know, with the increase in interest rates, and it will destroy the mortgage market.
No, I don't think, with due respect, I don't think it'll destroy the mortgage market. I think what will happen is that mortgage brokers will start to work out how people will actually pay for this. Some people, we have a very peculiar sort of mortgage market here. It's not long term as it ought to be. There are fixed rate ones. In other words, you actually fix the rate of the mortgage, and that's what That's what happens during its lifetime, which is usually about 5 years, or you have variable rates. Now, what these interest rate rises do is costing people about £25 more a month on the average movable mortgage. There will be people coming to the end of their terms on their fixed rate mortgages, which will be looking around for new mortgages. So yes, it's going to be very, very difficult. It will have an effect on house prices. But the one thing about the house market in this country is that it is very, very difficult to build new houses where people actually want to live. I'm not talking about things near rivers or near the coast or near floodplains and the rest of it, but actually where people want to live. There is very little property around. So yes, there will be the froth will come off the property market, but I don't think it'll be the end of the mortgage, the mortgage companies, no.
We're very uncertain times in the world. And yesterday, you're right, highest interest rate hike by the Bank of England in 13 years. But 3 members of that monetary policy committee, 9 in total, thought that the rise, should have even been higher, considering the fact that the Federal Reserve raised its own rates about 0.75%. What do you think of that? And what do you think also of the argument by Michael Gove, the leveling up secretary, and also Rishi Sunak, that, proposed cuts to personal taxes will have to wait for at least 2 years. Now, Elon Musk, he got to the meeting late, and he joined the meeting with his handheld device. Okay, we know Elon Musk and his peculiar ways. And all of that he said about, financial situation, his belief in people working from the office and all of that. But what's next? When is this deal going to be sealed? After his protest about, spam accounts and all of that, what do you think is likely to be the next step beyond this drama, perpetual drama?
I think that it is a drama. It's being played out. It's being played out for us, basically. I mean, it's if I were a Twitter employee, I would be really worried. I don't know what does exceptional mean. What on earth do these phrases actually mean? Of course, there's going to be people are going to get the sack. They'll call it being laid off, but they are effectively getting the sack. He wants to reduce the headcount. He wants to bring the active users, up to 1 billion. He still seems to me. I mean, I read between the lines. He seems as if he doesn't really know, or at least Twitter is not telling him what the actual real level of active users on Twitter is right now. How can you possibly be wanting to buy a company when you've been through all this due diligence, as he would put it, and yet you still don't have the proper answers? I mean, it seems a bit like fairy tales to me. But anyway, that's Elon Musk for you. He's very good at outer space. What'll actually happen when it comes to running a company with a lot of disillusioned employees? I mean, that really will be a task. As far as interest rates are concerned, here's my view about it. What they tend to talk about. I mean, I don't mind about the difference of opinion on the Monetary Policy Committee. That's fine. That's what committees are all about. Of course, some people would think that interest rates should have been higher more quickly and all the rest of it. Maybe the Bank of England is doing the right kind of thing and not being too strict. Who knows? What we will know about this is that there is a thing called medium term. Now, these sort of horizons can alter depending on which way politicians want to push them. But I think that medium term means 18 months to 2 years. That's a sort of general feeling around the world of what medium term is. And that's when they hope that these measures will actually have an effect. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It won't happen by the end of the year when the bank reckons that inflation will be 11%. But it may be that in 18 months to 2 years from now, what's actually happened, this break, this supposed very, very clumsy, I'll give you that, this very, very clumsily break on inflation may be actually bringing inflation down to the target level of 2%. That's a long way off. But it may just be that's what happens. But that's what I'm assuming that they mean by all this. The medium term is 18 months to 2 years. And it's not going to happen tomorrow.
Right, we were talking the other day about rationing before we were interrupted, Mr. Wilson. I wanted to know how real is the prospect that's been touted of gas rationing towards the winter? I mean, right now temperatures are soaring, so that's the last thing on anybody's mind.
Yeah.
But is it actually real, or is it just alarmist? And also a requiem for Revlon, the cosmetics giant, which is just another casualty now of supply chain issues and inflation.
Yeah, Revlon is a casualty. You're quite right, of all those things, and there are lots of other companies within that sector who will no doubt take its place. So yes, it's a shame. It's been a name for a long time, hasn't it? As far as, in fact, I remember when there was a Revlon racing team, actually, racing cars in this country. As far as rationing is concerned, yeah, I mean, it may be that industry is right. I think it'll certainly happen in Germany because they've been talking about that. Here, not so sure. I feel as though I think that there'll be a lot of self-rationing going on right now, because when these costs start to rise, businesses will not be able to take the increases on the chin necessarily and maintain the margins that they want to. So I think it is rather scary to talk about it right now, but I wouldn't rule anything out. We have absolutely no, and let's not pretend, nobody has any idea what the immediate future holds right now.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, Mr. Wilson.